Hello there, it's Mr. Galvin here with this week's update. I'll just get a PowerPoint on the go and we'll get started. Just welcome you back to the new school term, and a happy new year to you and your families. I hope it's been a lovely, well-earned, restful and joyous Christmas holiday. Okay. So something to bring to your attention is a focus we're having in school this term, which is a focus on oracy. In other words, students' verbal responses to questions. And the question that the teachers will be asking our students is, can you say it better? So when students give sentences that, or responses that are incomplete, aren't in full sentences, don't have subject-specific vocabulary, something that we talk about as tier 2 and tier 3 vocabulary, then your child is likely to be asked, can you say it better? And that might be a few times, a few iterations to get to a really good response. The reason is we think that great literacy, great written work is actually sitting on a foundation of really good verbal work, really great oracy. So this is something that will develop over the course of this term, but your children will hear the term, can you say it better, quite a bit this term. So this is what it's based on, this idea of the Pygmalion effect, that, you know, if we've got really high expectations about the quality of answers that our students give, then that's a positive reinforcing cycle. And also some of the work that a school called Voice 21 have done, which is really interesting in terms of their improved outcomes through excellent work in the classroom. Just wanted to say a huge well done. I know I sent a text out earlier this week, but just a huge well done to the students. They've returned to school fabulously. So obviously they had to do the LFT testing, as we were told by government on day one. That was done with no fuss whatsoever. And then we're straight into learning after an extended form time. And then the lessons, I've been out and about dropping into lessons all week. And it's been fantastic, calm, purposeful, lots of great learning going on. So just say well done to your child for that. I'd really appreciate it. There's been some great work going on, so just a couple to bring your attention to. We had the primaries in working on using our sports ambassadors to run some events for Park Royal and for Holland Hay. So huge well done to everyone involved with that. I know how much the primaries enjoyed it. And we've also put a focus on mental health. So we had some mental health training for about 16 staff on the inset day. And then we've also had mental health ambassadors, so that's been mirrored for students as well. So if your child was involved with that, the feedback was all very positive, so well done to them. I've had a couple of emails about staying warm. Obviously, we're taking, mitigating things in lessons to make sure that students have a low risk of passing or catching COVID and so on. That involves having lots of ventilation for rooms. And I've had a couple of emails from parents asking if we can have coats on and so on. And what we're saying is we want to keep the high standards, so it is at the teacher's discretion. So if the teacher thinks, OK, the room's warm enough, then it's business as usual. However, if it is obviously cold and the teacher says, right, OK, let's put some coats on, then that's fine. We're going to keep it with the normal rules, i.e. it's a black jumper with no logo or an academy jumper, not the hoodies, please. We made that really clear at the beginning of term. But if students are cold, they can put their outside coat on in that lesson to keep them warm. We will expect students to have coats off in the corridors as normal, though, because the corridors generally, they're very wide and spacious. They've got plenty of space to move around each other, and they tend to be quite warm. So we ask for all coats off in the corridors as normal. We're going to continue to have an attendance focus this term. This expression, we can't teach an empty chair. So I know that there are students who are legitimately off because they're isolating or have COVID, and I hope they're recovering quickly. However, there are some students who are not in, who should be in, and we will continue to work with families to make sure we've got students in class. If your child is having to isolate or is having to stay off but is well, then all the work is through SharePoint. So we're training the students up, continuing to train them up in terms of how to use SharePoint, and there's also Teams to communicate with the teacher really effectively. So please ask them to get in touch with their teacher through Teams. They'll understand what that means, and to go to SharePoint for their work. We're using one-stop shop for those two things. OK, that's it from me. Wishing you a lovely restful weekend, and catch up with you next week. Thanks ever so much. Bye.